Hello and welcome to the fast-flowing River Esk. We're here in Dumfries for the finish of stage 3 of the Tour of Britain. Extraordinary weather we're having today. 1 minute it's glorious sunshine, the next minute it's windy and it's belting down with rain. In some ways it's a handy little metaphor for the race. 1 minute it's going to plan and the next minute it most certainly is not, as Mark Cavendish found out yesterday. Gone was the sunshine, Nottingham threatened wind and rain. The hills loomed large. 3 Category 1 climbs in the first half of this 180km stage, mastered entirely by Pablo Ortasun, one of a 6-man breakaway which was never really allowed to fly. Jack Bobridge and Pete Williams tried to get away as the inevitable catch loomed, but they were caught, and Marcin Biablocki had a dig too, before it all came together with Team Sky on the front.
Here comes Mark Cavendish. Oh, he's beaten into second place. So second place to Mark Cavendish. What a finish that was.
Lee Howard was the day's winner, as was, after some confusion, Boy van Poppel. His reward for another top 3 finish, the race lead. Boy van Poppel, let's just say that name one more time. He leads the Tour of Britain. What a fantastic name, Rob Hales. You've enjoyed him, have you?
Van Poppel, he's a chip off the old block, isn't he? Yeah. Great dad, former green jersey winner of the Tour de France. Won sprint stages in every Grand Tour. And Boy van Poppel, his son, I think he's going to go all the way there as well.
He's a good sprinter, isn't he? You're in a kind of patriotic frame of mind today. Is that Andy Murray related?
We'll be seeing a few of these out on the course today, I believe. We're coming into Scotland, and the sun is out at the moment, but it's in and out, and rain clouds, showery, could be treacherous out on the roads today.
Let's just reflect very briefly on yesterday. It wasn't treacherous out in that finish yesterday, but it was messy, particularly from a Mark Cavendish and Luke Rowe combined point of view, wasn't it?
It was looking a little bit slippy under the tyres, but fortunately no crashes like we had on the first stage. We had Luke Rowe leading out Mark Cavendish for the finish there, and Mark just got a little bit balked at the finish. The last few hundred metres, had to brake and come back round. You give someone like Lee Howard an inch, he will take a mile. Multi-world champion, Madison world champion a couple of times. He's quick, the Australian's quick, and Orica Greenedge really got it right yesterday.
They did indeed. Mark Cavendish missed out, and so did Luke Rowe. It didn't go right for him, but it did go right, as we've already alluded to, for Boy van Poppel, and I caught up and had a quick word with him. Boy, congratulations on your unexpected jersey. At first, of course, you didn't think you'd won it, and now you found out you had. A strange way to lead a race.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. I have him, so I'm really happy about it. I feel good, and I try to sprint as good as possible, and I finished third, so I hope I have the yellow jersey, and finally I have him. So.
And now your team has to defend.
Yes, yeah. We are really motivated because for us this is a really big race, and we hope we can hold this for a long time.
We've done very well. Good start. Well done.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Good stuff. I mean, that's precisely what a team like United Healthcare have come here to do, haven't they? Get themselves in the lead and show themselves at the front of the race and defend this jersey. Why not?
Exactly. They're excited to be here. It's a big race for them, but they're going to go out there and they're going to do the best that they can. But today's going to be a tough test for them.
They've got to do it from the drop of the flag today as well, haven't they? Because there's a sprint very early on.
There is, I think, 10.6 kilometres in, and it's all uphill all the way to the first of the categorised climbs as well. So the racing should go straight out of the blocks, and then we will no doubt see some sort of break. And those first three categorised climbs all come in the first 60 kilometres, and then it's 90k into the run in here in Dumfries.
You'd be expecting a sprint finish today, Rob?
I would imagine so. Mark Cavendish has won on here last year. It was a slightly different course, but yeah, it should suit itself to a sprint finish. But obviously it depends on who's going to try and lead into the finish. Team Sky are an obvious choice. Enduro Racing have also been up there for Russell Downing and Orica Greenedge after yesterday's win. They'll be up there as well.
Well, listen, over the course of that answer, I've actually felt the temperature drop 5 degrees. The wind's got up. I can feel the next shower of rain coming.
It's coming, all right.
Get yourself into your nice warm commentary booth. Thanks a lot, Rob. I'll stay out here in the wet. Okay, is that good with you? All right, off you go. Thank you very much. Let's have a look at what awaits those riders en route from Jedburgh to Dumfries in a little bit more detail. Well, stage 3 offers those spectators some spectacular vantage points to view the action. It's another hilly day for the Tour of Britain peloton as they move through Scotland. Once again, 3 categorised climbs punctuate the opening half of the day's action, followed by a flatter second part, which should favour the fast men, including Mark Cavendish, who won the stage into Dumfries last year. Torrential rain last year in Dumfries. Don't rule that out, by the way, for today. OK, so that profile is pretty much front-loaded, a lot of the action early on. Let's catch up with what you've missed so far in the company of Hugh Porter.
Well, the field waved away in sunny conditions from the pretty town of Jedburgh, and ahead of them was a distance of 152 miles. In the leaders' jerseys, right at the front, in the IG Markets gold jersey, Boy Van Poppel. Also there, the Chain Reaction Cycles points jersey, Russell Downing of Endura. Face of concentration for Mark Cavendish, no doubt licking his wounds at the thought of having been beaten yesterday to the line in Sprint 2. Also, Bradley Wiggins was in a composed mood as he just danced his way gently along the neutralised section out of Jedburgh. Also wearing the leaders' jersey of Skoda King of the Mountains was Pablo Urtasun, and Peter Williams wearing the Yodel Sprints. But really pressure on the man we were just looking at in the IG Markets gold jersey, Boy Van Poppel, because Boy Van Poppel started the day away from Jedburgh with a lead of just 1 second over Luke Rowe third and Lee Howard second. Well, the riders didn't need much encouragement. The attacks came thick and fast as they got to the edge of Jedburgh, and riders were very eager to get clear. As they came into Hoyt for the first sprint, that was the Yodel Sprint, it was the yellow, or the gold jersey I should say, of Boy Van Poppel trying to get the 3-second bonus on the line, but it was Luke Rowe on the left of Sky that pipped Boy Van Poppel to the line, getting the 3-second bonus. Boy Van Poppel got over the line second for 2, and it meant that the overall standings, 2 riders were tying for the lead as the Tour of Britain moved away then from Hoyt. 2 on the same time, Boy Van Poppel in the IG Markets gold jersey and Luke Rowe of Sky. So the race then rolled away from Hoyt, and quickly the attacks formed, and eventually the elastic snapped, and it gave us a leading group of some 5. And as they came to the summit of the first climb, there was a fierce sprint for the points on available. This was the summit of Roberton, and it was the Christian House, the man that was challenging to become the King of the Mountains, that actually got second, and it was Bernie Sulzberger of Rally GAC that was first over. But that meant that the former leader on the King of the Mountains, and that was Christian House, was now closing on the lead of Pablo Urtasun of Spain. So as they got nearer to the summit of the second of the first category climbs of Firestone Edge, there was a big attack from Christian House of Rafa Condor, and Christian House held off the challenge of Bernard Sulzberger to take the 10 points, and it meant on the road now that Christian House had taken back the lead in that Skoda King of the Mountains competition. Just 1 point was left available at the head of the peloton, and Pablo Urtasun swept up that remaining point. So the race continued in pretty hostile weather conditions, the rain peppering down, heavy showers as they got towards the summit of the third and final climb of the day, a second category affair. Christian House actually slipped his gear, which ruined his chances of getting to the summit in first place, and it was Sulzberger that took his second first place of the day in the King of the Mountains competition. Let's take another look at what happened. You could see that Christian House had to sit down to get the position reorganised so he could turn the gear. He slipped that gear. Sulzberger, very speedy Australian, went down the inside and picked up the 6 points available. But the fruitful gains of Christian House, thanks to the efforts on those climbs, meant that he is the new leader of the King of the Mountains, and Sulzberger picking up useful points as well.
Well, plenty of action then so far already on stage 3, plenty more to come. And the first of my predictions, I'm glad to say, has come true. It started belting with rain already. Fortunately, I've been given a rather patriotic umbrella, so I'm enjoying the warmth of that. Now, these are live pictures, and just to reiterate then the composition of this 5-man break. Yet another breakaway day for Rafa Condor's Christian House. He's picked up one of those intermediate King of the Mountains points, so he now will lead that competition at the end of the day. Another very aggressive ride from him. Rally GAC's Bernie Sulzberger is there. He's won the other 2 of the King of the Mountains on the day. Pete Williams, another aggressive day in the saddle for him for Node 4 Giordana. He's of course looking to defend his leads in the sprints competition. 2 more intermediate sprints still to come, by the way. Wesley Crader of Vacances Soleil, they're a perennial favourite on the Tour of Britain. He's representing them in this breakaway. And Pete Hawkins, the young Irish rider of IG Sigma Sport. So that brings you up to date. We will bring you all the live action when we come back from a short break.
Two minutes and 51 seconds, the advantage then for the 5 leaders, and 60 kilometres to go. So the race finally poised now, and still doing all the chasing on the front are the United Healthcare team, looking after the interests of their overall race leader, Boy Van Poppel, but he's tying now, of course, with Luke Rowe, thanks to the 3-second bonus that Rowe picked up on the Yodel sprint after 10 kilometres in Hoik. It's going to be a very intriguing approach now to the finish. The roads are still undulating, believe me, there's nothing flat around this part of the world before they arrive in Dumfries. There is a finishing loop to be negotiated as well when they get here in Dumfries, and that finishing loop is 30 kilometres. So 30 kilometres, it means the big crowd that are building in the wet conditions will see the riders sweep over the line on 2 occasions.
Yes, and that loop will come back, and it should then be a howling tailwind back into Dumfries. And the last 3 kilometres are all downhill, especially the last 2 slightly down, so we're expecting an extremely quick finish yet again, as we saw yesterday, and only one bend to the right hand side with around about 250 metres to go today. So a quick running. It's all going to be about the lead out and leading your sprinter into that last little bend. It's not quite a 90-degree bend, so shouldn't create too much difficulty. But if we have another rain shower like we had not long ago here in Dumfries, it could be extremely slippy conditions underneath the wheels of the riders.
Of course, the man of the match here then in the early kilometres has been Christian House, recapturing the lead in that King of the Mountains. He's got a 5-point cushion now over Pablo Utterson. He's converted the deficit overnight to an advantage of 5 to give him the Skoda King of the Mountains jersey. And looking just down the line here, of course, the man leading the Yodel sprint competition is Peter Williams, and he picked up points in that first sprint, which was very, very useful. He crossed the line third, getting 2 points, and that means that his advantage over his nearest challenger, that's Ronnie Matias of Sauer-Sochazon, has been increased to 5 with 2 more sprints to come. But of course, the man on the road who is the current leader of this Tour of Britain is the Irishman Peter Hawkins, who is riding on the Sigma Sport team, IG Sigma Sport. The Irishman is actually current leader because he started today 10th overall at only 11 seconds. So at the moment, the team of IG Sigma Sport are enjoying some very good television exposure.
Yeah, it looks like at the moment Peter Hawkins has made a great move today by getting in this breakaway, because I can't see that this group being brought back by the peloton before we get to the third sprint today in Dumfries, the first crossing of the finish line here in Dumfries. So we do have 2 more sprints on offer.
Just at the feeding station there, those are the musettes that are handed up, and of course they take the necessary food out to put in their pockets. And as Rob will confirm, a feeding station is always probably one of the most dangerous areas in a race, when riders in a big bunch go through quickly and put their arms through the hoops to pick up the bag.
No, it really is, but it's often a welcome sight, especially on a day like today. Cold, damp conditions. A rider like myself especially used to get hungry in these kind of conditions, and so it's always good to see the feed station come into view and restock food and drinks in the musettes there, the bags that the soigneurs hand up.
So the next sprint that's going to be, let's have a look what's happened here. We've got a problem with a Sky Rider.
Bernie Eisel there, front wheel puncture. Just getting a change there, the mechanic coming out, quick change, no problem. Always better to get a front wheel puncture than a rear wheel. It's always easier to change. You don't have to mess around with the rear derailleur and the chain possibly getting caught up. Good quick change there, and he'll soon be back. No great issues there for Bernie Eisel, no panic at all whatsoever.
too far away from that second sprint in the Yodel Sprint competition, Rob, so we can expect the man you're looking at there, Pete Williams, to be flexing his muscles to try and collect more points to increase his lead.
Yeah, he'll certainly be pressing on trying to get those maximum points. Great reading of the race there by Pete Williams this morning. Christian House just coming through now. What a day he's had yet again. Fantastic riding by him. John Herity, team director, back in the car. Will be extremely pleased with his rider's work today. Mark Demar yet again on the front for United Healthcare. You can see one of the IG Sigma riders just taking his musette there on the right hand side of the screen.
Quigas also starting to thread their way through the peloton on the opposite side to the musette. It's interesting to see a lot of riders here not bothering with the food that's being offered. It is actually a comparatively short stage, 152 kilometres. Oops, you can just see, can't you, how dangerous that can be.
Yeah, it can be extremely difficult to... Not too bad here today, it's slightly uphill and open, but when the road's a little bit faster, the riders can often be travelling speeds in excess of 20 miles an hour and trying to pick up a bag. Not only that, not trying to rip your arm off and not trying to bang your handlebars into the bag. You see it so often, and as you said, Hugh, the feed station can often be one of the most dangerous parts and sections of the race.
It's a chance to have a look at the situation with the rider at the front. Can't quite work out what's going on there. Getting his arm ready, I think, just to collect the musette.
Just trying to get a bit of blood flow down to the fingers. It's in these cold conditions, just try and get a little bit of feeling back in there.
You can see the lead being shown. Caption, so, well, I think they are going to get swept up. It's just how near to the finish that they will be absorbed back into the bunch.
Yeah, the general rule of thumb is 1 minute for every 10 kilometres of racing left. So as we can see, with 56k to go, so it's just under 3 minutes at 2 minutes 49. So at the moment, shouldn't be too much panic in the peloton, and there should be a good 3 or 4 teams with the momentum to put into this peloton to bring this break back.
Nice dry roads here, as Ned said at the top. We've been absolutely peppered on with heavy showers, and 1 minute they're on dry roads, the next minute it's wet, greasy. But the riders cope with it. Not a problem here. And the Sky Boys again.
Bernie Eisel yet again. Is that another wheel change he's had, or is it just a braking issue, quite possibly? With a different wheel, he may well have had a different wheel replaced, completely different with a wider braking rim. So he's just looks like he was having a little bit of an adjustment there on his front brake. Obviously quite important to have your brakes working fully.
Bit of a nightmare if they're not working.
Oh, most definitely. All 5 riders here taking their turn.
I mean, even if this group does get pulled back, and I mean the odds are that they will be caught, the 2 riders, Pete Williams and Christian House, for them, they will have had a very, very good day out there, reinforcing their stranglehold on the competitions of the jerseys they're wearing. Well, the jersey that Pete Williams is wearing, but Christian House is taking back the jersey that he was wearing, of course, as leader in the King of the Mountain. So it's been a good day for those 2.
Most definitely, and Bernie Salzberger there here on the back, the Rally GAC rider, done himself no harm either in that Skoda King of the Mountains jersey. He's got himself up there and also helped to take some points away from Christian House, because obviously one of Bernie Salzberger's teammates is also up there in the standings there. Well, Russell Hampton.
Rob, he started the day actually with no points at all in the King of the Mountains, Salzberger, but he's picked up 25 today, very nice too, and that's put him in 6th position. But there's quite a big gap between him and the key players, i.e. Christian House on 46 and Ertesen on 41. But nevertheless, he's in the mix. And what he has done as well, he's sent a message to the rest that he's got some pretty good sprinting legs there. So should he be in the mix at the finish for a top spot, I don't think you could discount that Australian.
No, certainly not. You see the sun just coming out, casting a slight shadow underneath the riders there. A little bit of warmth, welcome warmth as well. Drier roads here as they've come off the climbs, and they're now down on the more flatter lands.
Bit of a problem here as the riders are just making their way back through the convoy. The 2 punctures being picked up, and so with 50 kilometres to go and the advantage of 2 minutes and 49 seconds, let me just look at this analytically and look for your input here, Rob. Peter Hawkins, who's in that leading group, is the current race leader on the road because he started the day in 10th position, 11 seconds behind overall. But obviously, before this group gave the bunch the slip, the 5 points and 3 seconds bonus won by Luke Rowe in Hoik meant that he had then equalised the time of Van Poppel. But then, of course, this group slipping away means that this man we're looking at is the current race leader on the road. There it is, confirmed for you, 10th at 11 seconds. It's a cracking piece of riding here by this Irishman.
No, it really is. I think the issue that this group has got is they all know that the chances of them staying away in any break like this is quite hard, and it's difficult, especially when you've got such big sprinters teams back in the peloton willing to bring this back and hoping to bring it back for a sprint. But there is always that chance. But I think with having the IG Sigma rider here on the right hand side, Peter Hawkins, in here at only 11 seconds and current leader on the road, the chances of this group staying away is absolutely zero now. I think he's got no chance.
Well, he's the intruder, isn't he? If he hadn't have been there and there would have been a 5th rider as lowly placed as the rest, then they may well have been able to stay clear. But you are right, so that's why the chase is taking place from behind. And let's not forget, on the line there's a 10-second bonus for the victory, 6 for second and 4 seconds for third. But Peter Hawkins, well, former Irish Criterium champion, so he can obviously ride well around the twists and turns of the city centre races. As we look at the team of Endura as well, they're starting to come through as well here, Rob, and they're obviously looking after the interest of Russell Downing, who today is riding in the Chain Reaction Cycles points jersey. He's actually lying second in the classification of that jersey. The leader is actually Boy Van Poppel, but Boy Van Poppel, of course, is wearing the jersey that they're all after, and that's the IG Markets gold jersey.
Yeah, that jersey there on loan to Russell Downing today. So anybody looking out for him in the finish today, he won't be in his usual black and green of Endura. A lot of the riders starting to take their gilets off as well, especially the riders up front, Sky riders. Luke Rowe was pulling his off. Obviously the sun starting to give a little bit more warmth down there for the riders, and also the workload that they're starting to create to try and bring this break back.
Field now coming, or the leaders coming through Temple Land. And just slipping back down the line is Hawkins. There's quite a bit in Belgium in the Kermesse races. Hawkins lists his inspiration as the great Fabio Cancellara. A lot of people look up to him, the Swiss time trial specialist, nicknamed Spartacus, who has actually called it a day for this season as we come back to the team of Sky. And there's the team of Endura. Just looking for Russell Williams. There he is. You can just see him if you're looking at the colours today. They are the colours, of course, of the Chain Reaction Cycles points classification leader. So we'll get another shot of him. You can familiarise yourself with his colours, because he will be in the mix at the end in the sprint, believe me. He's already had a third on day one.
Yeah, that Chain Reaction jersey, blue and white. So it certainly won't help us pick him out, I don't think, amongst this peloton.
Colours are all very, very similar, aren't they? Blend into each other, and there's of course a heap of black strip as well. You're looking at the famous one there with Rafa Condor. Christian House, a former British road champion, and a very, very good top quality rider to have on your team.
Just a couple of kilometres now, coming up to this second of the sprints. Number 26 here, Pete Williams on the back. Definitely eyeing this next sprint coming up.
Yep, he's licking his lips at the thought of another 5 points, and that would stretch his tally out to 22, which would be very useful indeed, because Matthias on 12 at the moment, not in the group. Nearest one to him who's in the group, of course, is Christian House. So Christian House, if he got the 5, would go up to 14, which is not going to threaten Williams. So Williams has a very good chance here of reinforcing his stranglehold on this particular classification. Well, despite the fact we're showing 2:44 there, Race Radio has just indicated that the lead has gone back up to 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Now that's pretty interesting, because, and immediately it's corrected to 2 minutes 30. I thought that was amazing. So it's 2:30 the lead, so it's coming down at the moment. 2 minutes and 30 is the envelope between the group at the front and the sharp end here of the big bunch.
All the teams now starting to congregate up near the front of the peloton. We can see the lime green helmets and jerseys of the Italian team Liquigas, all looking after their team leader, Ivan Basso. He likes to stay up the front. Team NetApp just starting to move up as well.
Won the RAS Tour of Ireland in his career, as Christian House also won the Tour of South Africa, and he actually lived a lot of his life in Texas, did Christian House, and Belgium, so he's pretty international. Speaks with an American flavoured accent.
He certainly does. And as a former winner of the Irish RAS, he's used to heavy roads, and heavy roads are what we've been on the last few kilometres, that's for sure.
Now here we are. This is the team car of Rafa Conda having a word with Christian House. Now, what do you think he's telling him?
Well, that's actually the second team car from Rafa Condor, and that's Spike, former mechanic of Team GB, actually, and he's obviously been sent ahead to look after Christian. He'll just be giving him information of the time check.
There we are, the sign that tells us we're 1 kilometre away from the second Yodel sprint of the day in Lochmaben, after the first one was tidied up then by Peter Williams in Hoyt. Now then, look out for Williams here, trying to get the 5 points. He's just in front of the rider from IG Sigma Sport. So sprinting very well at the moment is Peter Williams, who's on the Node 4 Giordana team. 5 points here, very, very useful for Williams. As we watch the riders gathering themselves, it's going to be interesting to see who's likely to challenge Williams. They may just ride through, actually. This is the case on some occasions. But if they decide to sprint for it, then Christian House will, of course, be adding points to his tally. School children out here, loving every moment of it. It's a chance to get out of the classroom, isn't it? Teacher says, come on, you can come to the grass side and watch the Tour of Britain. Yes, thank you very much, miss, and they're there straight away.
Just looking at some of the greenery on the side of the roads, and awfully blustery wind we've got here today, blowing all over the place, so difficult to time.
Big right-hander, there it is. Well, a little bit of chicane, I should say, as they're now getting ever closer to the line. Remember, 5, 3, 2 and 1 points are available, and 3, 2, 1 in the time bonuses. And it's Williams on the front then, looking to add 5 points here to his overall tally, coming up to the line where they do ride through. It wasn't contested, and Williams picks up the 5 points, and in second place there was Peter Hawkins. So it means Peter Hawkins actually has picked up 2 seconds there as well. So remember, he started the day 10th at 11 seconds, so he's got himself 2 seconds there, so he's 10th at 9 seconds plus the difference that they're behind. So 5 points, very, very useful there for Williams, and that means that he's increased his lead further. So he's taken his tally up now to 22 points in that King of the Mountains in that Yodel Sprints competition.
I think Williams will be happy there to have taken that without having to sprint for it. So I would imagine that these riders now will ride as they have been all the way through the next sprint and the first crossing of the finish line here in Dumfries before they take that 30-kilometre loop out south of Dumfries and then head back north up in for the finish reel at 152.6 kilometres.
You are right, they didn't contest the sprint, just rode through. Well, obviously the reason they did that is there's only really one man who has an interest in that competition, because the rest are obviously tapping it out for the King of the Mountains with Christian House, and the others of course to help their team leaders. So he didn't have to expend any energy with a big sprint like the first one in Hawick.
Back on Soleil there, just back with his team car, chatting to the mechanic there. Creeder, Wesley Creeder, taking on some more fluid as well.
Field coming towards the line as well in this lovely picturesque town of Lochmaben. Evidence of the Scottish Saltire on the side of the road there, just fluttering in the breeze. No points available for anybody there in the peloton. It's only to the first four, and they've already been taken up. So just a tad over 25 miles of racing left. Had an hour of competition then before we tidy up the winner of the third stage here of this Tour of Britain. Lavery just tapping Williams, or Hawkins I should say, just tapping Williams on the back. But they've made a real fist of this, haven't they? They put the peloton to the sword, and it's proved to be profitable for both Williams and Christian House. So you can see from the caption there, it's slipped down now to 1 minute and 49. So the five at the front will be keen to try and get to the line in Dumfries to start the finishing circuit with the business end of the contest, and that of course is the task here of Williams in the Yodel Sprints jersey as the leader. He wants to get another 5 points in the bank here. 22 he's got, and his nearest challenger still is Ronnie Martias of Sao-Chazon, who's in the main field, who's got 12, so he's got a 10-point cushion. And also on 10 up there is Christian House. So it'll be really nice if Williams could pick this one up as well, taking his tally up to 27. It will have been a very good day's work for him.
Yeah, I would imagine, going off the previous sprint, that it won't be too hotly contested by these five riders, and Pete Williams, I would imagine, will be allowed to roll across and take maximum points.
Confirm once again the composition of the leading group. As the field now just beginning to echelon away to the left of our screen as we look at it. And it's coming down all the time now, this lead, tumbling all the time. About 10 kilometres now away from the line here in Dumfries. The finish actually at Dumfries White Sands, and this is right alongside the River Neath, which is the 7th longest river in Scotland. And at the moment conditions slightly different to 12 months ago, because the rain was absolutely peppering down at the end of the first stage when Mark Cavendish swept over the line to claim the victory. Well, he's had a couple of goes, hit the deck pretty heavy at the end of the first stage, and then yesterday, well, left it too late and couldn't close down on the flying Australian Lee Howard, who's a multi-world track champion. So is today going to be the day when Cav gets it right and wins the stage here to replicate his finishing position of 12 months ago?
And certainly can't afford to give a rider like Lee Howard any room to manoeuvre. Mark Cavendish just slightly mistimed it, but also got caught on the left-hand barrier, which is part and parcel of sprinting. It was a quick finish yesterday, and I think we're going to see exactly the same kind of finish today.
Caught a glimpse there of Bagdonas, Lithuanian champion on the An Post team. He's just near the back of the peloton. Good sprinter.
Big open roads now.
Yeah, it's coming down all the time as well, isn't it?
Yeah, be plenty more opportunity as well for the peloton to be able to bring this time gap back down on these 5 riders. It's a lot easier for a bigger group to ride and keep pace on these kind of roads. Still no one else really starting to take the pace up with United Healthcare. They're happy to do the work, but I'm sure that will change over the next few kilometres.
Still the race leader on the road then. Here's Peter Hawkins from IG Sigma Sport. It's a team of United Healthcare that have been riding quite strongly throughout the day, made up of Johnny Clark from Australia, Robert Forster, the 34-year-old German, good sprinter, number 33, Chris Jones, the American, 34, Mark Demar, number 35, Kai Roos from Holland, and 36, of course, Boy van Poppel. Just a word about Kai Roos of the team here, United Healthcare. He's a man that's wore the overall race leader's jersey in the Tour of Britain and won himself a stage as well.
Just on a bit of a descent now here as we come down towards the town of Dumfries and that 3rd and final Yodel sprints for today's stage. Just getting a time check there, 1 minute 40 now.
Yeah, Kai Roos, we were just talking about, 4th in 2009 in this race overall, and he did clinch a stage victory as well. If my memory serves me correctly, I think it was in Newcastle and Gateshead actually, when he took the jersey and the stage victory. Yeah, coming down all the time. It's a bit of a nail-biter this. Are the 5 going to stay clear to the line here to give Williams the chance to get another 5 points? 7 kilometres, Rob. 1:33 the advantage.
Yeah, we'll just see McLaughlin there from An Post going back, taking back all the clothing. He's been around to all of his riders in the team from the Irish team. And going back, taking the wardrobe back. Just getting a little bit of information as well on exactly what's happening, and probably a little bit of information on the running, and just a reminder to him of everything that they'd gone through in their pre-race meeting that they would have had back at the hotel last night.
A bottle down the back of the jersey. I love your description of that.
The dinosaur. We've seen, well, over the last couple of days we've seen some warm weather and a lot of bottles, especially on the first day. That stage up from Ipswich, extremely important to keep refueling the riders with liquid and solids, especially in stage races like we have here. One-day races it's important, but multi-day races, this 8-day stage race here, extremely important to keep refueling, not just for today's stage but also for tomorrow's stage and the day after.
No respite at all. You've got to keep the food and fluids, as you say. Well, tomorrow, when it comes to climbing, slightly more gentle than the last 2 days. We've got a couple of second cats. The ascent of Shap Fell will be the first test for the riders on 52 kilometres, and a third cat one as well. And of course the Yodel Sprints competition, there'll be 3 more of those, and that'll kick off after 43 Ks in Shap. So when they get to the area of Shap Fell, they've got a sprint and a climb all within the space of 12 kilometres. So that's going to be quite interesting tomorrow.
It is tough section of road there, but the finish on the promenade in Blackpool tomorrow, The race has visited there on numerous occasions, so many of the riders here will know that running and be familiar with that finish.
Down the Golden Mile, of course, the great Roger Hammond, former World Junior Cyclocross champion, one of the exclusive club of British stage race winners, clinched a stage there.
The stage was cancelled there last year. Was it last year?
Yeah, we had
the weather.
Unbelievable situation with a hurricane. Wind power was unbelievable, and in the end they had to call the stage off. But Mark Cavendish, very, very professional, actually went into the Tower Ballroom there, resplendent in the IG Markets gold jersey as the leader, having won the first stage. And we conducted an interview with him, and it was a little bit of a second home for him, because he was a junior international ballroom dancer for the Isle of Man.
Something that he's extremely proud of as well, I'm sure.
I think so, and I think that's one of the reasons he could never compete in that programme Come Dancing, because he's obviously been a dancer, and I don't think you're allowed to do that.
A previous semi-pro.
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? I'd love to see Cav doing that. So a pretty good chess player as well, I understand.
Yes, he does like his chess, and something that just to keep his mind active,
focused.
Focus, that's it. I mean, focus is something that you have to be, especially coming these sprint finishes that we have.
It's an absolute wizard, isn't he? Perfect physique, punchy, finds his way through the wheels and then delivers the killer blow. I wonder if it's going to be Mark Cavendish today. Look at the young face here on this fella. Belies his determination as the 10th place overall. Young Peter Hawkins going very, very well indeed.
He's going well. That's a fairly decent sprint on him as well. Irish Criterium champion from last year. So he can get himself round a finishing circuit, that's for sure.
Jez Hunt comes to the front.
Yep, first signs of Team Sky now starting to come to the front and start to pick up the chase. I think this is now where we'll start to see this time of 1 minute 40, this lead that these 5 riders have, start to tumble down. It really will. Riders like Jeremy Hunt starts to put some impetus in.
Well, this is the man that started the day as the leader in the King of the Mountains, Pablo Urtasun. And he's seen that lead taken away from him thanks to the efforts of Christian House. But he had his arm up there, no doubt needed some service from the team car. So just going through the lineup at the front here now, it's the familiar colours of the United Healthcare, and then starting to take their places near the front are the team of Sky. Quite familiar this, the usual pattern. As the lead is tumbling all of the time now, tumbling all of the time. 1:35 we're hearing, so it's looking very much as though the 5 are going to make it to the line. Not far away now, and they will start the finishing circuit.
If you needed any more confirmation of the wind here in Dumfries, well, there it was, on those trees on the left-hand side. Extremely windy here. It's going to create a bit of havoc, I think, back in the peloton. We could see Bernie Eisel just coming out of the line and trying to get information up to Jeremy Hunt on the front of the peloton, just to get him to ride a little bit further across to the left, just to put the rest of the peloton in a bit of difficulty. Make sure that they're not giving every single rider in the peloton that shelter.
Well, umbrellas are up in the finishing straight. So similar conditions to last year. And you can see that the tempo now is being raised quite significantly.
Jeremy Hunt in his element now. Relishes the thoughts of these chases. He's turned himself from a sprinter, pretty much, yeah, an out-and-out sprinter from his early days with Banesto, the Spanish squad. Still got a good sprint on him from a small group, but this is his job. And this is the job that he's got to do in his final race of his career, illustrious career.
He actually out-sprinted Cipollini on one occasion, I remember, so that's a fine scalp to have on your CV. Now then, Christian House just temporarily going back to the team car. as we just move along these gentle ripples, the corrugations that line us up for the run to the finishing funnel. And we are hearing another time check coming over that more seconds have been pulled back on the leaders, and it's around about 1:25 now. Salzberger just at the back here. Keep an eye on those little mini roundabouts when the rain falls, when you have to turn across them, because they are very, very slippery. Williams at the front. Christian House just coming through, taking over. Late time for feed. So the third sprint of the day in Dumfries, very, very near now.
Big chunk of time now come down for the advantage of these 5 riders. Jeremy Hunt doing most of the damage there, so we can see the rain starting to come down on the camera lens.
Still there, isn't he, on the front? Big field plummeting down now towards the side of the river and the finishing funnel. And the front group of 5 getting closer and closer to the line. Bell will ring out to tell them there's just one more loop to be completed. Caution on the bend.
Plenty of painted lines on the road there. Always difficult and nervous times when you're crossing those, traversing the painted lines when it's wet.
And as you said a little earlier, furniture on the road, i.e. ballards, marshals always indicating for the riders to be careful, which they are, and cautious.
Yeah, not so much of an issue for the smaller groups, but as we can see, the peloton here trying to negotiate one of the many roundabouts. Have to have an awful lot of faith on the riders in front of you.
Nearly into the finishing straight now. Pace will be a lot hotter than this, I tell you, in 30 kilometres time, when they're all trying to get to that turn to line up for the run to the line. This is the left-hander into White Sands, right alongside the River Neath. And there's the line ahead. Now then, are they just going to ride through? I think so, because they're all trying to keep the tempo even. And it's Williams who is going to get to the line first to pick up another 5 points. Yeah, nobody's going to challenge him. So across the line, Pete Williams gets the 5 points. Very useful indeed. Second was Peter Hawkins of IG Sigma Sport. So a good day then for Peter Williams. That's taken his tally nicely up to 27 overall now. So he's got a very handsome margin in that Yodel sprint competition.
Yeah, great job there. Note for Giordano Racing. Malcolm Elliott back in the car. Their team director will be extremely happy there with his boys' work today. But it's not over yet.
The field just twisting their way through the streets of Dumfries. You can see that the kilometres left are 30 for one loop. Now here we are. This is the first sighting then in the finishing straight of the peloton. Still being led then by the same team. They've been there throughout. And that, of course, is the team of United Healthcare.
This final 30-kilometre loop out south of Dumfries and back is by no means a flat run in. It's quite tough and undulating.
2 minutes and 14 they've been racing. It's a comparatively short stage today, but of course it's got its problems along the way, testing sections. And as we're looking at one of the riders at the back there from the young under-23 squad, as we can show you the result of that last sprint. Christian House actually getting second over the line. My apologies, I called it as Peter Hawkins. Glorious aerial shot here of the bridge then that spans this 7th longest river in Scotland, the River Neath. So 46 seconds to go now, and the peloton really getting down to the task of catching the 5 leaders, and Jeremy Hunt doing a massive amount of work here right at the head of the big bunch, and assistance coming up on the left as well as the further team members of Sky are slowly threading their way through the wheels.
Yeah, that's Bradley Wiggins coming up onto the right-hand shoulder there of Jeremy Hunt. Is he going to take up the chase just yet? Looks like he's leaving a little bit more for Jeremy to do. He'll be happy with that. He loves this kind of work. Nervous times back in the peloton now. They all know that the finish is coming pretty soon.
Let's not forget also that Wiggins, whilst he's 23rd overall in the general standings, he's still only 11 seconds back as well, so there's a lot of riders in the shake-up here, Rob.
Oh, an awful lot to play for still in this 2012 edition of the Tour of Britain. An awful lot of roads to be covered before the finish on Sunday.
25 kilometres to go. How much longer are they going to stay out there?
Well, if Bradley Wiggins does decide to come to the front and lend a hand, then I think the time really will start to tumble down. We've yet to see any of the other teams come as well. Orica Green Edge, Endura Racing as well, looking after their sprinter Russell Downing. They've done an awful lot of work the previous 2 stages. They've been quite quiet up to now, but they're all there, they're all gathering themselves.
Salzberger at the front, and the Raleigh GAC team. Now the Irishman decides he wants to try and give it big licks, because he knows he's got the most to gain here, and it's Hawkins crouching down and indicating that come on, help me with the workload. You saw the flick of the elbow. When they flick the elbow, it means that I've done my turn, it's your turn to come through. But the rider from Vacansoleil didn't seem too eager to keep the pace on there, Rob.
No, I think most of the other riders in this group, they realise that it's quite possibly going to be to no avail, but Peter Hawkins, he's doing the best he can, and my word, what a great job he is doing.
Salzberger, he doesn't seem to want to bother, and I think they realise that it's just only a matter of a couple of kilometres now, because the lead is tumbling down. It's only 37 seconds now.
Yet again, IG Sigma Sport rider, the Irish rider, Peter Hawkins, trying to inject pace.
Sorry.
Wesley Krieber there, Vacansoleil as well.
Sorry, Rob, I was just sort of thinking what a great effort he's making here, this Irishman. He's really keen, isn't he? And he's taking with him, as you say, Wesley Krieber of Vacansoleil. Now, Krieber 7th overall. He's well off the pace at 7 minutes back. But Hawkins is the man that's still got so much to gain, and he really wants to try and reinforce his determination. He's full of confidence. Look at this.
He does, but they're within sight now of the peloton. They would have been able to have looked across the left-hand side over the field there and seen these riders. They'll see the lights of all the vehicles with them, but they won't yet know that Hawkins and Krieber have gone clear.
It's a long way to hold off the field that are beginning to gather pace at the back, and the race now is in an angry mood. It's finally poised, isn't it, with the peloton beginning to raise their game, and the 5 at the front now fragmenting into 2 groups, and their legs must be bursting with fatigue.
Yeah, it really will be. The cold will be setting in. Hard work to come over these next 22.8 kilometres.
Node 4, Giordana coming through as well.
Views of the back of the peloton here. Some tired and some pretty stiff looking legs here.
Yeah, Escadé at the back. Not enjoying these conditions, are they? They love it when it's really hot over there in Spain in the Vuelta. And here, of course, that's something they're not going to enjoy. Well, they're having a go. The two riders, the brace of riders that have gone ahead, they're not going to surrender without a scrap. And these two, Peter Hawkins, IG Sigma Sport, and Wesley Krida of Vacances Soleil.
Both working extremely well together.
Full of aggression, laced with determination. The rest sitting up, waiting for the arrival of the peloton. Here they come.
Wesley Krida, he'll be there riding for the win today. As opposed to Peter Hawkins, I don't think he'll be too concerned, but his main idea on this is to try and stay clear and try and pull that IG gold jersey off of the shoulders of Boy Van Poppel.
So Christian House just settles back now into the wheels of the peloton. His voracious appetite for points in the King of the Mountains has spilled over today. He's had 2 seconds and a first, which means at the end of the day he's a comfortable leader in the Skoda King of the Mountains competition. We are hearing on race radio that the lead has gone up to 40 seconds. .30 seconds being shown there on the graphic then for the leader. Well, I keep asking the question, Rob, but do you think they can do it?
Well, I'm starting to question it now. I think that they will be able to, but as we said earlier, this loop that they're on now, the roads, they're not that easy to get a big chase going. It's quite undulating, and the weather is certainly seems to be playing into the hands of these two leaders here, Hawkins and Krida.
Now then, sorry, Rob, but there we are. Bradley Wiggins comes to the front. Now then, is he going to drop the switch in that style that we're accustomed to, with the flat back and the high tempo that he did in the time trial? If he does, and he raises the speed significantly, yep, there he is. He's in the Wiggins crouch. Now then, looks as though Bradley Wiggins is going to make a big input here into the chase.
Well, he's just started to get himself up, line himself up behind the camera bike here. He's making the most of that. And I think for any of the riders further back in the peloton now, they really are starting to turn the screw on those, and these two guys really are starting to push on, aren't they? They're talking to each other, discussing.
They're going well, very, very well. So they've realised the danger behind. That's why Bradley Wiggins has gone to the front and began to lift the tempo. Look at him, there we are. The classic trademark of Wiggins, that flat back, aerodynamic, and really raising his game.
Well, this helicopter shot really is starting to give a good visual aspect of the speed that this peloton are travelling at, and the gaps are starting to open up now. All the riders just started to give themselves a little bit more space in between, because it's treacherous conditions out there, so they're all trying to ride as safe as possible. The spray coming up into the riders' faces off of the wheel of the rider in front. Bradley Wiggins, he's got himself good clear vision obviously on the front there.
2v1 really, isn't it? The two ahead. Hawkins and Krida versus Wiggins. Well, I know where my money's on.
Well, Wiggins here, the current Olympic time trial champion. You certainly wouldn't put your money on anybody else at the moment.
But he's decided that that's enough. That was quite a big turn and a big healthy raising of the pace. And again, it's eased back. When the road is filled or full, as you're looking at now, well, the pace is not full on. It's when that long sinuous line forms that you know that the chase is really on for real. 34 seconds. Well, it's pegged there. They're holding it.
Yeah, the black and green jersey of Enduro Racing also starting to come to the fore. But again, these two riders here, Krida and Hawkins, really are working well together, aren't they?
Yep, they're not giving up. It's a serious scrap here now that's going on. Greasy corner, just gently. It's so easy, isn't it, to lay the bike over too much, and the machine just slides away from you.
It is. It's always an advantage in conditions like this to be in a small group. like we have here. They have better vision of the road, they can see what's coming up. Be interesting to see if the camera stays on this peloton as they try and negotiate that right-hand bend. Fingers crossed for all of them. You can see a little bit of painted lines. Again, the slippy part. But it looks like all of them. The front there has got through okay, no problems whatsoever.
Yeah, you're right. Not want to see any fallers. Now then, Endura coming through. Zach Dempster's there, just putting his shades on. Why is he putting his shades on when the weather's like this? Protect
just
the eyes.
To try, yeah, it's the spray. The spray coming off of the rider in front of you. You get that in your eye and you're in all sorts of bother. But the flip side of that is your glasses on. Depending on your glasses and who you are, they can tend to steam up now and again.
So there are the two leaders then, but it's becoming tenuous now. 28 seconds the advantage with 15 kilometres to go. Garmin Sharp are now starting to get involved here in the chase, and it's Rath that's trying to get across the gap, and Rath is actually well back off the pace of the overall lead. He's 88th overall at 8 minutes, so he's the kind of rider that the peloton would give an opportunity to slip away. And just look at his right knee there, carrying the bandages from the fall incurred in the crash at the end of the stage and in Norwich at the end of stage one. But look at Sky now. Sky is starting to get involved with the chase. Jeremy Hunt's been up there a long time, but now it's the other big men that are coming through.
Yeah, Bradley Wiggins has done his turn and Jeremy Hunt has been able to rest and recover and come back to the fore. And he's the rider now on the front, back where he likes it, doing his job, trying to bring this break back. What a job these two have done. They've worked so hard today. And in the last few kilometres, it was Peter Hawkins, who is race leader on the road as it stands, trying to stay clear with Wesley Creeder from Vacansoleil.
That's right, Hawkins started the day in 10th position overall, just 11 seconds back from the lead. But there are the peloton now, and they can see their quarry. They are now chasing down their quarry, reeling them in, and this is setting it up for another perfect scenario for a big sprint. 14.5 kilometres to go, 26 seconds the advantage, the face of determination written all over Jeremy Hunt on the front here as he keeps the tempo on.
He's still there, still on the front, working away. Bradley Wiggins recovering from that previous effort that he made. He's there, he's going to be ready to take it up again. They've got these two riders in sight. They won't let them out of sight as again Garmin Sharp go on the offensive.
Yep, they're away again, trying to get a rider down the road. It depends which rider it is, whether or not they'll give him a little bit of freedom, but I think this is the day when Sky are looking as though they want to underpin their chances on the stage victory and get back that IG Markets gold jersey of the race lead. But he's managed to distance himself here. It's only about 50 metres, but Garmin Sharp now making a big effort in the run to the finish in Dumfries. 21 seconds the advantage.
These attacks that are coming off the front of the bunch, they're only going to play into the hands of the teams, and especially the team of Sky, to try and bring this break back. It's an extra carrot that they need. They won't panic. As I said before, they will just ride tempo, but it certainly gives them a psychological advantage to have these riders just dipping off the front.
Creeder looked back. He knows he could see the field further down. It's a very undulating loop this. You can see that these little hills, well, they're hard, and it's a perfect setup. They are platforms where riders can leap clear. But it's a big effort here by the rider from Garmin Sharp, but the squad of Sky are lining out behind, and his advantage is about 50 metres. He's not really going anywhere.
Tough roads here. You can see these small launch pads that the riders are able to use, but Sky, they're not panicking. They're all coming to the fore, coming to the front, and they're just waiting for the other teams to come with them and no doubt help them in these last few kilometres.
13 kilometres to go. We are in for a grandstand finish here then at the line in Dumfries. How long are they going to stay away? How much longer can they keep the marauding peloton off? Well, he's going to get up to them, this rider from Garmin Sharp. Well, a little bit more strength. That might just play into the hands of the two, as once again Bradley Wiggins comes right onto the front here of the bunch to take up the chase.
Just see these two riders now working extremely well. Wesley Creeder, Vakon Soleil, Van Mark from Garmin Sharp. He's going to get across any minute. How much will it have taken out of him to try and get across? But 3 is certainly better than 2. It will add a little bit of pressure now to the riders back in the peloton to try and bring this back. These conditions, not easy conditions, but there you can see the calm face of Wiggins. Jeremy Hunt in his wheel.
No panic at all. He's just looking across, just eyeing up where the rest are. And not only is he doing a fantastic job in helping the team of Sky to close down on the leaders, he's also in the safest position, as you pointed out earlier, Rob. And they look back, and the rider is coming up now to make the junction, and that is going to add strength to the two. Wesley Creeder and Peter Hawkins, who've been away, well, almost after the completion of the first 10 kilometres, will welcome this arrival, because that means the workload can be shared more evenly.
Well, I'll tell you who, Sepp Van Mark here from Garmin Sharp. He's only at 10 seconds off of Boy Van Poppel for that gold jersey.
Danger man, so he'll not be allowed to stay, surely not, as once again Jeremy Hunt comes onto the front, crouching down just like Wiggins, and they realise that that is a danger with that rider going away, and that of course has reignited the burners, and now the chase, it really is developing.
Sun come out on these riders now, the warmth will start to come back up. That will help these riders, no doubt. So 2 riders here vying for that gold jersey. Hawkins, the Irishman.
16 seconds though, Rob. My goodness me, it's a nail biter this, and we've got another attack on the right-hand side of the road. This looks like one of the members of the team of the UK Youth Cycling, I think, was trying to go clear.
It's Sao Sajon.
Oh yes, that's right. Very similar colours. Sao Chazon, then the French team, having a crack here. And remember, they've got a good sprinter in their team, in Ronnie Martias, who is up there in the first 3 in the Yodel Sprints competition. He's a tall, rangy fellow, this Van Mark, isn't he? And it looks as though Van Mark is trying to leave the other 2, and that's Hawkins and Creeder.
Well, I tell you, these are treacherous conditions here, and I certainly hope that the peloton can negotiate these bends safely. We just watched them edging their way round. So far, so good.
And of course that is an opportunity when you've got a little group clear for them to stay away, because when you're in a field like this, that's when there is danger on slippy roads.
It really is, Hugh. It's so much harder. It's Hawkins there, he's been distanced, that's it, it's game over for him.
Yeah, Hawkins' day is over, and now we've just got this brace of leaders clear, and this is Wesley Creeder of Vakon Soleil, and the other man there is Van Mark, then riding on the Garmin Sharp team. 10 kilometres remaining.
10k, just over 10 minutes, around about 12 minutes now of effort left to come back into this finish here in Dumfries. Sepp Van Mark really has put the cat amongst the pigeons, hasn't he, with this move? What a great move he's pulled off here.
It was a courageous, brave effort. He took the bull by the horns, he jumped clear of the peloton and bridged, and of course that has helped dramatically. But of course I can't believe that Hawkins has dropped back. I thought he may have profited from the fact that there had been a new arrival with fresh legs. But he is a tall fella, isn't he, this Belgian, and he really is gritting his teeth as he's trying to keep clear of the peloton.
He is Hawkins. We can just see him in the distance as the Sao-Sajon rider comes past him and tries to link up with these 2 leaders, Sepp Van Mark from Garmin Sharp and Wesley Creeder from Vakon Soleil.
He just indicated to Creeder, didn't he, come on through, give me a hand here, because I can't keep the pressure on all the time, as once again we sight Bradley Wiggins in that characteristic style of his as he sweeps past the Irishman Peter Hawkins. Hawkins going right down the line here, and the way he's going back, I'm just wondering if the peloton are going to sweep past him.
Well, this is going to be a last-minute effort now by Team Sky. Bradley Wiggins cool, calm and collected on the front. Jeremy Hunt in his wheel, just gritting his teeth, as is Sepp van Mark here on the front. I got a feeling that Wesley Creeder, his legs have just gone. The effort that he's done today, he's been away all day.
He's run out of steam, hasn't he?
I really don't think he can give any more work into this breakaway.
And this is where Sepp van Mark could really do with some assistance, because he's made the big effort to get across the gap. And look at Jeremy Hunt again. Hunt has taken over the pace setting now from Wiggins, and they really are having a go here, aren't they? Knase's up there as well.
Yeah, Knase there in third, and then United Healthcare up behind him, and then a few riders back is Bernie Eisel looking after Mark Cavendish there. I would say resplendent in his white jersey, but it's no longer white, it's grey from the dirt and the grit coming off the road as Jeremy Hunt takes up the pace.
Yep, here it is, the team time trial lined out. Hunt's right on the front, Wiggins second wheel, and Knase sits third. Then there's inevitable presence of the United Healthcare with the IG Markets gold jersey tucked in, and you can see the right, or you can just see the left shoulder of the World Championship jersey of Mark Cavendish. 8 kilometres to go, 5 miles of racing to tidy up this stage 3 of the Tour of Britain, that's bringing the riders from Jedburgh right down here to Dumfries.
These two riders still riding exceptionally well. Sepp van Mark putting all the effort in that he can to try and stay clear, take time out of the peloton. Not only that, the 10 seconds time bonus obviously on the line for first place.
6 for second and 4 for third. They are going to be very, very useful indeed, Rob. It is very, very close, isn't it? Let us not forget that the bonus is picked up earlier in the day, that Luke Rowe, with that 3 seconds he swept up in the first Yodel sprint in Hoik, meant that he was tying with Boy van Poppel. So also up there as well is yesterday's stage winner Lee Howard, who started the day on the same time as Boy van Poppel, and also in the shake-up we've got Mark Cavendish and Russell Downey. There's a lot to be gained here, believe me, with this stage victory and the 10-second bonus. This is critical. Still on the front, Sky, and look at Wiggins. Wiggins really gritting his teeth here, the Olympic time trial champion from London.
Yep, the first sight of his teeth coming out there, that's certain signs that Wiggins is trying hard. He's digging deep, he's going into that crouched aerodynamic position, just trying to eke everything out as Christian Knees sat in his wheel, gets ready to take up, as 3 of the riders there, the young riders from the Great British squad, all try and move themselves forward. That's great signs for them, great learning ground, and my word, what a tough race they've got here on their hands.
Just look at that for a shot, fantastic, as they thread their way through that artery of road in the forests as they get ever nearer to the finish. Creeder and Vark tenaciously clinging to this advantage. Can they hold them off? It is a real big ask. The peloton really boring down on them now, as we once again see the familiar colours of Sky at the front.
And it's Nice on the front now. He's taken his turn as they sweep up that rider from Sao-Sajan. Didn't come to anything, did it?
Well, Sky got to nail this stage. They've already had one stage victory, and that came on the opening day of this year's tour. Are they going to get the second one here in Dumfries? Flick of the elbow again, you saw there for Van Mark, but I'm afraid he's not giving him any assistance, his breakaway companion, is he? And that, of course, is Creeder. Creeder's legs must be absolutely burning.
Yeah, the day that he's had, they're on a big downhill section here in top gear. Travelling 60-65 kilometres an hour minimum now, really trying to go as fast as they can, try and make the most of this downhill descent as Bradley Wiggins gets back on the front. Just look at the speed that his legs are going around. Spinning
that gear, isn't he? But he's not coming down easily, Rob. I tell you, they're making a real fight of this. They're putting the peloton to the sword, and Wiggins, look at that in that crouching style. He flicks the elbow, and his teammate comes through to take it on.
It is just starting to come down now as the The road just starts to flatten off a little bit here. Small protection from the trees, from the wind, but not a lot.
Just something to consider here as well, Rob. If these two can make it into the twists and turns of Dumfries, they will have an advantage over a big peloton on those awkward, greasy corners.
Well, that's the thing. If these roads were dry, it would be a lot easier for this peloton to bring them back. But with these conditions, these two riders are making the most of that, as Nice really does start to pile on the pressure on this section of road here. He's stuck everybody in the left-hand gutter, just trying to give his own riders as much protection as possible, but everybody else trying to stay out of the wind and in the wheels is making their job so much harder.
The 31-year-old German then, Knies from Germany on the front, but I tell you what, they're really offering stubborn resistance, these two at the front. It's a brilliant effort by Sepp van Mark, the Belgian, on the Garmin Sharp team, and Wesley Krieder of Vacances Soleil.
Orica Green Edge now coming to the front, and big Magnus Backstedt for Team UK Youth. So Team Sky, they're getting a helping hand, so it looks now like they get the help that they need. And this break here, Sepp van Mark, I'm pretty sure it's all over for them pretty soon. They're going to be brought in now, that I'm fairly sure.
It's a Belgian and a Dutchman then here at the front, holding off the big field at the back. 3.3 kilometres to go. He looks back, the Belgian Van Mark. He said, I made the big effort to get up to the leaders. Now then, is it going to pay off? That camera shot actually foreshortens the distance, remember. It's still over 10 seconds, but you get the feeling that it's going to be all wiped away. 3 kilometres to go. Here come the field now.
Team Sky yet again take over from look like Hepburn from Orica Green Edge. Bradley Wiggins in that typical crouch position of his, trying to give as much as possible, with big Maggie Backstedt in his wheel, ready to apply the pressure for Team UK Youth.
So near yet so far. Just look at this, the advantage now is beginning to evaporate. They're getting nearer and nearer, the perfect time to make the catch, and the junction looks as though it's going to be made with just about 2.5 kilometres to go. He looks across Krieder as much as to say, well, we tried valiantly but we couldn't do it. That's big Magnus Backstedt having a go.
That's it, 2.5 kilometres to go, and Maggie is putting the pressure in. He really is applying the pressure and the power and the speed.
Well, now then, look at this, the former winner of the Paris-Roubaix still got some fire in his belly here as he tries to go clear.
On this section of road
2
there,
kilometres to go. Sorry, Rob.
No, I'm just saying, it looks like the peloton is starting to split up there on this tougher section of the road. It's just starting to creep up a little bit. Really is doing a good job, and there he has, he swung off, and that's it, that's his effort done for the day.
Now 1.7 kilometres to go, and it's Team Sky that really are beginning to take a stranglehold on the sharp end of the contest here. It's Knies right there turning the screw, and right up there with him is Eisel, and also Bradley Wiggins is there in the mix. They're all looking after the interest of Mark Cavendish, but also coming through on the left of our screen looks like Zach Dempster to me of Endura.
It is, it's Dempster in the black and green for Endura. Where is his rider? Don't forget Russell Downing there. He's not in that typical green and black jersey. He's in the blue and white, because he is holding currently, he's wearing, there he is, in that Chain Reaction Sprints jersey. Points jersey, sorry.
No, that's right, he's wearing the Chain Reaction Cycles Points jersey. He's Russell Downing, if you're looking for the familiar colours of Downing in the Endura strip. Now then, it's still Sky on the front. Now then, Endura starting to come through in the mix there. Is that Zach Dempster? A bit of nudging there, look at that, a bit of shoulder work going on. 1 kilometre to go, they've gone under the red pennant. Now then, look for the approach to the line here. Is this going to be a stage victory then for Team Sky?
It looks like Bernie Eisel on the front, ready to take over, is Luke Rowan. Here he goes, he shuts the road down, he's gone to the left-hand side of the road. He's got Mark Cavendish there on his wheel with 2 Orica Green Edge riders behind him, and Russ Downing is just moving back to 5th.
Sky on the head of the contest then. giving Cavendish the perfect lead out. Remember, Mark Cavendish won the stage here 12 months ago. Is it going to be Mark Cavendish again as they come into the finishing straight? Here comes Mark Cavendish, the Manx Express in the World Champs jersey. This is Cavendish at his best. Up to the line, the victory salute. Mark Cavendish takes the stage here in Dumfries. What a fantastic finish. Well, they got it absolutely spot on, didn't they, Team Sky? They worked hard, finally getting the two breakaway riders pulled back in the closing stages, and then Mark Cavendish with the perfect delivery.
Luke Rowe there, what a job he did there for Mark Cavendish. The perfect lead out, the speed he put in there for Cavendish meant that he rode away from the two Orica Green Edge riders trying to chase him. There, lots of congratulations from Bradley Wiggins and the thanks there from Cavendish.
Lots of hugs on the line from the teammates of Mark Cavendish, and did you see that? He gave him a hug, and obviously he's very, very sore from the crash, and he punched his teammate. That's Mark Cavendish at his best, but that is Mark Cavendish, the trademark finish of the fastest sprinter on the planet. He replicates his finishing position of 12 months ago here in Dumfries White Sands, and everybody enjoyed that moment. It was a brilliant, brilliant finish by Mark Cavendish.
Like an old married couple, that Bernie and Cavendish.
Riders still just trickling over the line here. That final approach then to the finishing line has certainly caused a lot of breaking up. Here we are, chance to look at it again. Cavendish on the far side looks back. Yes, that's it. Let me get those arms in the air. At long last, I have got my stage victory. And it's Orica Green Edge once again coming through into second place. Quite sure who that is, actually. We'll
Well, that was fantastic, wasn't it? I think many people were expecting to see that over the first couple of stages of this tour, and they finally got what they wanted. Mark Cavendish in the rainbow bands at his very best, winning by some margin. We found ourselves a little pocket of sunshine here in the Borders. Hasn't been that case all day, and I found myself Matt Stevens and Rob Hales as well. Rob, you were watching on the monitor. Matt, you saw it with your own bare eyes. That was emphatic, wasn't it, Rob?
Wasn't it? What a lead out there, final lead out there by Luke Rowe, and that's what the people have come here to see Mark Cavendish deliver in that. I was going to say the white jersey of world champion, but it wasn't quite white, was it, at the back end of the race there? No. It was more of a grey, dirty colour, but what a finale there. Fantastic running.
Not quite as messy as it was last year, but it was good to see Luke Rowe get that right, Matt, wasn't it, for Mark Cavendish after everything that went wrong yesterday?
Yeah, he took it up perfectly, and obviously with the conditions you've got, extremely wet and slippery, you needed to be in first or second place around that the last right-hander, and Luke Rowe delivered him perfectly, and the Cav had 3, 4, 5 lengths, time to look round, lift those arms up. What a fantastic finale for the people here today.
Listen, we'll have a look at the final kilometre in a second or two. Let's just have a little glance here at a replay. This is Mark Cavendish looking over his left shoulder, realising how easy it is. He's got plenty of time to put his arms in the air. There we go. That's what the sponsors pay the big money for. That's what he does, huh?
Yeah, that's why he's the best in the world.
I mean, that's the common sight, isn't it? That's the one where we see Mark Cavendish, with time to look round and see what damage he's done, and him and his teammates. And there he's just thanking Luke Rowe there and getting the congratulations from him for that lead out. That was incredible.
Rob, you know the man well. You work with him, you've ridden with him, you've won world titles with him. He's an emotional guy, isn't he? When things go his way, he's on top of the world, and when things don't, he's just nowhere, isn't he? Mental?
Oh yeah, I mean, after the last couple of days it would have been doom and gloom, obviously, but today they're finishing ahead of the guy who beat him yesterday, Lee Howard. That's really everything will be great today and roses, but Luke Rowe there, not only did he lead out, he was also able to keep himself up there in 4th place, and Russell Downing, another fantastic ride there in 6th. Boy Van Poppel just losing out a little bit there, being further down, consistent but not quite good enough.
No, and as things stand, Lee Howard, well, he'll take the gold leaders jersey now, won't he, Matt?
Yeah, well, what a coup. I mean, that guy's been really, really consistent. I mean, extremely fast. You know, he's been up there in the finales, and it's going to make a really interesting kind of next couple of days racing. I don't know how he climbs, but it's going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah, Boy Van Poppel, by the way, rewarded for his consistency. He'll be wearing the points jersey at the end of today. That fantastic finale here in Dumfries wasn't the whole story of the day, though, was it? It was a great chase and a thrilling little attack there, in particular from Sepp van Marke, Rob.
Well, when Sepp van Marke went across to the two leaders, unfortunately the two guys had been out there all day, and so they were just legless, and then he managed to get across and take it just down to one rider, Vakon Soleil, able to stay with him just about. But he was a danger man, because he was only 11 seconds off of that gold jersey coming into this race, and so they really did need to bring him back, and my word, didn't they do that. Look, as they came through in that last kilometre, it was all set up for the finish. Maggie Backstead, Team UK Youth, did massive amount of damage to the peloton.
Top 10 at the end as well there, which was a pretty good ride for him as well. So, no, a great day for the Brits. About 4 or 5 Brits in the top 10 in that finish.
Yeah, and to have 4 of them as well out there in the group of 5 of the British domestic teams, that's really good signs. And that just shows what this race means to them. They're here, and they're here to do business.
And what about that turn that Bradley Wiggins did with about 5k to go, where it looked like Sepp van Marke and Wesley Crader might just have a chance of staying away? Wiggins went to the front. You know, only the guy who won the Tour de France, only the guy who just won the Olympic gold medal in the time trial.
Well,
you know,
Brad's a consummate teammate from times. We saw yesterday, I mean, obviously Cav didn't finish it off, but Brad was there in the last K, absolutely nailing. You can see the pain on his face. Brad has got one of the biggest engines, if not arguably the biggest engine in the world. And yeah, he just drew it back. He's just got so much power. What a class act.
It's perhaps, I mean, for many people who are watching cycling this summer, Rob, maybe for the first time in their lives and getting thrilled by it and into it, perhaps watching the Tour of Britain for the first time, they may not understand what Bradley Wiggins' participation on this race is all about. Now, listen, it's unlikely that he's going to win it. It's unlikely that he even intends to win it. He's here as a super domestique for other guys, isn't he?
He really is, and probably a bit of a lap of honour as well, I think, and to show himself off in front of the British public who have watched him all year and get to see him face to face. But yeah, he is here doing the work for his teammates.
OK, well, I think we've got the world champion himself talking to Phil Sheehan.
Prefer it to be nicer, but we had some nice weather today at least, but no, it was nice. I knew the finish, tailwind downhill, and you could go pretty early, but I just had a perfect lead out, you know. Luke was so fast at the end, Bernie before him, and then Brad just kept it strung out before that. Like, it's pretty textbook actually, so you know.
Stubborn breakaway. They pushed right until the last minute. Sepp van Marke pushing hard, obviously a threat on GC, but the guys in the team did a fantastic job, as he said. You're actually not too far off on GC yourself now. Any ambitions for that, maybe tomorrow in Blackpool?
No, I like staging from that GC, no.
But wearing the overall leaders jersey in your home race, surely that's an honour.
Yeah, it is. I've done it before though, but I'm wearing the World Champions jersey. I've only got a couple more days in the World Championships jersey, you know, so I'd like to savour that more than anything.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, he calls it like it is, doesn't he, Mark Cavendish? He was just asked there about the prospect of wearing the leaders jersey in this competition, and he's kind of had a little look and gone, well, what's wrong with the one I'm wearing? I mean, time's ticking on that one, isn't it? So he's going to enjoy that.
Oh, it is, and I'm sure he's going to want to wear that jersey, that particular jersey, for the rest of the week. This is his last week in it. He'll vouch for that. I think he's under no illusions that he is going to the World Championships next week in Limburg, but he is under no illusions that he will be bringing that jersey back to Great Britain, which is a great shame, but there you go, that's how it is.
Matt, it's been, it is nearly the end of his tenure in that rainbow jersey. At times it's been wonderful, at times it's been frustrating, but it's not been dull, has it, this year?
It certainly hasn't. I mean, a lot of guys in the past have worn the rainbow jersey, and it sometimes can be considered, a poison chalice. Mark's had his fair share of bad luck, but he's had his wonderful, run of victories as well. And guys, it's always difficult. There's a hell of a lot of pressure wearing those rainbow bands, but to be honest, I think Mark has done us all proud.
He has. Rob, where does he go from here in terms of his career? I know you're not going to tell me which team he's going to sign for. You probably don't know yourself, but he may stay. But what do you see him developing over the next couple of years?
It's probably fair to say that he's in the back third of his career now, and he will look, obviously, to become one of the greatest sprinters, if not the greatest sprinter, if that is already not what he is. Is he chasing that record, that Eddie Merckx record? I would have said so, yeah, most definitely. But I think he's also probably going to be looking at changing his style very slightly into more staging. We saw it earlier in the year in the ZLM Tour where he won his first stage race. So races like this at the Tour of Britain certainly won't be out of reach for him. Probably not this week, but in the future.
Rob, thanks very much for braving the weather. Thank you, Matt, as well, for all your work. We'll be back tomorrow where we head back into England from Carlisle to Blackpool. We have live coverage at 1:30. Please do join us then.